So if you are
And I'm so glad to be here with you. I'm actually in my car, and I am happy to say, about to go to another presentation right after this face-to-face presentation. So, my first one since the lockdown. And I want to talk to you today about the biggest shift in the economy worldwide. And Panos and Marta also talked about this. And so it's perfect. Our messages fit together. And I will be mentioning some of my family office's investments. And so I do have to say, I have to comply and give you that this is a general advice warning and seek professional advice from one of your colleagues before choosing anything. This isn't specific for your needs. But I want to talk to you about this incredible opportunity. And I've seen research, lots and lots and lots of research, that more wealth will be created in the next decade than ever before in history. And we can see it already. And at the same time, the great news is that more philanthropy is being created at the same time. You could just see it with one philanthropist, successful CEO, just one, Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, co-founder of Twitter, and founder of Square, the point of sale solution. And when COVID hit, what did he do? He said, I'm going to give away $1 billion of my wealth. And I don't know where to give it away to. I'm not an expert in this area. So I'm going to put up a Google spreadsheet and employees, please tell me where my money should go. That was, someone figured out, about 24% of his personal wealth. And that's a perfect example of how these techno philanthropists, many of them come from the technology area, are giving back to society. As you know, like BG. You know who BG is. You're thinking Bill Gates, but we refer to him as BG now because he is the biggest giver of all time. And I just have to say, I can see where this wealth is coming from because I take the long-term view and have been tracking the rise of the fourth industrial revolution, which was over the horizon, but it's not over the horizon now. We're right in the midst of it. And we have one economic analyst and commentator on the ABC network here in Australia that I think summed it up perfectly. What did he say? It was Alan Kohler. He said, there is no connection today between what's really going on the ground with COVID and what's happening in the marketplace. He said it is just remarkable. And it's because many of the organizations that are part of
E
this
la
new
Leonida Calmera.
economy are
Puoi
actually
cercare chi giro.
helping with the COVID. And so
Quindi se la
today,
meeting mi
Panos
after
mentioned about virtual reality and augmented reality. And this area and many other areas are part of the fourth industrial revolution. And so we got cloud computing, blockchain, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence impacting your industry, the advice industry especially. I'll say one thing that I think might be slightly controversial because I've been talking to many advisors in all sorts of areas, financial, insurance, legal, all sorts of areas. And this is what I've said. I've said you will not be competitive as an advisor unless you are an AI powered advisor in the future. And that future is now. If you don't have an AI buddy today helping you be a super advisor, you're really missing out. But we don't have a lot of time today, so I can't drill down into that. But I wanted to tell you that there are tools. One tool that I would recommend, one thing you could look at is called Chorus, like a singing chorus. Chorus.ai, the most registered TLD, top level domain right now, because there are so many AI products. And what does Chorus do for advisors? Well, one thing it can do is record this entire Zoom presentation, transcribe everything that everybody has said. It will assign it to the various speakers. It will analyze all the words that are used. It will check for your compliance in your particular country and under regulations that you're under, and then we'll instantly coach you afterwards in how you could do a better Zoom presentation. This is mind-blowing. This is your Zoom presentation coach at chorus.ai, and that is just one example of one AI buddy that you should have in your practice. But wait until you see what comes next. When you see the digital, when it fuses, and it's already starting to happen, fuses with the biological and the physical world, we're going to see many magnitudes of growth with 10x, but we're going to see many 10x's. And it's already happening. And that's why the market is not connected to what's going on the ground right now. And I want to show you what this looks like. So here's a little video to explain. If you want to know more about this, I'm going to point you to a resource. There's this website where there's a lot of video and cat videos and pug videos. Oh, that's right, YouTube. Go to youtube.com/WEF to get to the World Economic Forum and find the playlist on the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I'll give you one example of this fusion that when I show this blows people's minds, and it's directly related to all the testing that's going on with COVID today. This is a chart from the National Human Genome Research Institute of America. And they're comparing the third industrial revolution that was defined by Moore's law in the electronics world. You know, this exponential curve that we've seen so many times, that's Moore's law, but you can put it on a logarithmic scale down the left-hand side, 10 times 10 times 10. And we've been getting pretty good at reading these sorts of charts because of COVID. And so when you look at Moore's law, an exponential curve on this logarithmic scale, it's a steady line. And what this chart shows that a computer in 2001 that cost $10 million by the end of 2019 sold for $10,000. You get that a $10,000 computer just a few years ago cost $10 million. But look at that yellow line. That yellow line is the cost for sequencing DNA, specifically the DNA for COVID, for example. And you can see that the cost performance is crashing like you wouldn't believe. So that means that we've got better cost performance than Moore's law. If you think the last 40 years were exploiting change, wait until you see this. And it's happening today. This is just the beginning, though. Give you an idea, that was on an order of magnitude of $10 million to sequence DNA in 2001. And do you know how much it costs now? Less than 10 cents. That's because of the fusion of the digital and biological. And if I showed you the physical world with new materials, it would blow your mind, but I've only got a short period of time. So I want to show you how this has impacted my family specifically. and the family offices that I advise, and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a stock expert. All I did was I looked, being a futurist, looked at this major shift, and I thought, what are the companies driving this fourth industrial revolution? And I started on paper first because I want to test my ideas, and started a portfolio way back in 2008 and tested my ideas, and it worked out pretty well. So then my family decided to put a little money in for their tester ideas. And now my family has put quite a bit of money in to this portfolio specifically. My fourth industrial digital, biological, physical portfolio. So it started with a 30K paper investment, and now through funding it a little bit later, now 397K. That's a 13x return in 7 years. And I wake up every single morning pinching myself because no one's taught me how to do this. All I did was look at where the world is going and place a bet on it, test my ideas, invest a little, and then follow that up with more. And since that time, I've advised literally hundreds of family offices on their investments. And I have to tell you that they are very, very grateful. They couldn't believe their returns from one of my business partner, Peter Leggett, CFP. He got his clients involved in this. We have a business together called Explore Future Wealth. And at the time of the lockdown, everybody was getting their statements and they're like, this can't be true. This can't be true. You mean I could get that money out? Like right now, this isn't a Ponzi scheme? And he said, yes, you can get it. It'll take you about 24 hours. You can get your money. Well, no, leave it in. And good thing they did because a lot of people put their money out in March. We didn't. We went in. It was a buying spree for us. And so we started this business, and all we had to do was look at this area, and you can too. You can take your business, and you got to think about, okay, what can I do to leverage these opportunities in my own business? How can I leverage this massive change that we're going through for my own family? How can I help my clients in this area as well understand the future? And one of the best ways is see some of these companies. Now, this is our portfolio for Explore Future Wealth. That is a completely funded portfolio. Either Peter Leggett or my family have shares in all these companies. And so we've had a pretty good return since March. But a lot of people say, well, everybody had a good return since March. But that's the S&P 500. We've done slightly better than the S&P 500. And I'm pinching myself. I'm not a financial expert. All I know is I know about the future. And I know about one company that listed about 2.5 years ago, a little company called Twist Biosciences. And if you don't know about Twist, you really should know about Twist. They're one example of the intersection of the digital and the biological. And this company, I'll tell you who's invested in this company. Fogam has invested in this company. Do you know who Fogam is? That's Facebook, Apple, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft have all invested in Twist's technology. My 19-year-old daughter, a few years ago when she was 19, she went online and ordered custom DNA to make a nano machine, a box to capture a cancer drug and deliver it to cancer. She did this when she was 19 years old, went on, it was like eBay, and ordered custom DNA. And you could do this too. So because of COVID, Twist has been booming. If you look at their share price today, I think they listed at about 18, and they're doing pretty well. And I'll tell you why they're doing pretty well. In my portfolio, up to about 215%. It's because they have this easy way to order DNA. Did you know you could order online? Just like ordering a pizza, you could order custom DNA. Isn't this mind blowing? But think about this. I'll tell you how you could store. Everyone, look at your little fingernail. Look at your little fingernail. On that surface area, roughly of your little fingernail, about 1 gram of their custom DNA, they could store 1 billion, 1 billion on that tiny little 1 billion, 1 billion terabyte drives. 1 billion terabyte drives. You get a new laptop. If it's a gaming laptop, you probably got a terabyte drive. Imagine 1 billion of those on the surface area of your little pinky. And I'm not making this up. This is happening today. They're digitizing all of music, films, our culture, paintings, and you can see it on their website right now. It's happening today. DNA is really becoming data storage. And that's what Microsoft said. If you look up Twist and Microsoft and data storage, their head of data storage says, we're investing in Twist because we believe we'll be storing in data in the future. Incredible company. And I just want to play a little video for you, show you why it's so important, is that we can't create, we're creating so much digital data, we can't create enough storage. Hard drives, SD drives, we just can't make them enough. You can see it in this chart on their website of the total data created versus the total storage shipped. And the delta is getting even bigger. So watch this video so you can see a little bit about how Twist is preserving our culture in a way that will last for at least 1,000 years, might last 1,000,000 years, because, well, DNA has lasted 1,000,000 years. So let's have a look at this. It really is incredible. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? And I can't believe that my family are co-owners in organizations that are preserving our culture, saving our planet by empowering those who are solving the COVID crisis. Every day, I want to pinch myself and cry that I'm helping these companies and they say thank you. I can't believe it. So, to give you one last area to look at, I'm not going to, I don't have time to drill down into this, but health and genomics and longevity. Many of your clients that are alive today will live far beyond 100 years. And if your organization is working on life charts that end at 100 years old, your business isn't prepared for the future. I'm telling you right now, in the developed world, the number of 100-plus-year-olds is going through the roof. It is the fastest growing percentage-wise demographic in most of the developed world. And yes, there's some challenges around global health, but it's still true that we are extending human life like never before. Listen, there's so much more I'd love to touch on, but we want to leave space for questions. You can ask me about anything in my family's portfolio or the Explore Future Wealth portfolios. Anything that I've covered today, there I've just scratched the surface. And if you'd like to learn more, find me on LinkedIn, and I'd love to share with you more around these incredible opportunities that you can create for your business, like the other speakers talked about, for your family, and potentially for your clients. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thanks very much, Craig. I know from hearing you speak at many events personally, I remember once you talking about the 100-year plan for many businesses. And I spoke to someone who's quite familiar to a lot of the advisors here, a bloke by the name of Grant Abbott. Putting aside whether his popularity is good or not, he assisted a business sell simply because the buyers, who were from Asia, had a Japanese, Chinese background. This business, which was an accounting financial planning business in Sydney, was able to display to them that the business had a 100-year plan. So this is not just about us. This is about the not even womb to tomb. It really is about family generation. Now, questions. I mean, I know Panos and Marta and Craig are ready for any questions that you guys might have. So fire away, please. I can't keep talking to myself because I can do it, but mind you, I can talk for a long time, and everybody knows that. So please, if you have any questions, unmute yourselves and fire away.
I've got a question for Chris. What was the best performing stock in that portfolio? Was it Zoom by any chance?
No, it wasn't Zoom, although Zoom is in our portfolio. So let me look it up and I will put it into the chat. So Zoom is pretty good in the 200%, but I've got a couple in the 600% areas. So let me look those up and I'll put it in the chat. Yeah.
I think Cobus is trying to ask a question too. Amanda, can we unmute him? No, he's shaking his head. We just want to hear your South African accent, Cobus, that's all.
Well, I will do you the favor and use my South African accent for you with pleasure. When I logged in this morning, I couldn't put my photo on because I was driving to the office, and in South Africa it's very early, as you know, this time of the morning. But I'm now back in the office, and it's fantastic to see all my good friends in front of me. I've always wanted to see MDRT Australia in virtual, so I'm very fortunate. Thank you very much.
So
have you, Cobus, too. Thanks for joining in and getting up bright and early for us. And you've obviously been practicing that South African accent. It's very good.
Just a little bit.
Yes, I have been practicing it. It's not good at
Pretty
all.
authentic, isn't it?
Yes.
I've just got a question for Craig. I'm just fascinated with Twist. How does that storage system operate? You know, the zeros and ones is the standard, obviously, storage system, and this is now linking into DNA. Can you just explain a bit more how that actually works?
Sure, I can. So Craig Venter was the first one to create a synthesized biology on the planet by creating a new organism after 12 years of ethics studies, and it builds on that. So they use a common household bacteria that you probably have in your house and you don't know it unless you're cleaning exceedingly well. It's in a little white room in your house. It's called E. coli. And E. coli can be reprogrammed, and this common bacteria can be used, can be modified for data storage. And this is what they do. It is actually mind-blowing. But also, I think it's a great metaphor that in the future, backing up will have a whole new meaning in your household.
Oh, shit happens. Takes on a brand new meaning.
But I should also say it uses a technology that you probably heard about. And so this is CRISPR technology. And CRISPR is a company that also is listed in our portfolio, and that's where you can read and write life code and also edit it as well. So you can cut and paste life code, and that's what they do to deliver custom code. And right now, the readback speeds, although they're cheap, less than 10 cents, a hard drive costs nothing to read back data, basically. It's still expensive and it's slow, but we think, that we're at the stage right now of a floppy disk in terms of speed by comparison, a floppy disk, but not cards, but at about a floppy disk. And within the next 5 years, will it be at the speed of SSD? And that is just mind blowing. Imagine tests where you could swab someone and in a tenth of a second get a result. That's what we're looking at within the next 5 years. And how Twist has done it is these tiny little chips that are both digital and biological with these tiny little channels where they can do tests on a chip. I would recommend you go to their YouTube channel and watch all of their videos. Become an investor, buy one share, because you buy one share, you get to their shareholders meetings, you get personal messages from the chief executive, and you learn so much more when you are a co-owner of an organization. And their shares are relatively inexpensive. So I would encourage you, or buy one for your your child or your mother or your father, and gift it to them. It's a great company to be co-owner of. They're doing great work in the world.